And this is the second of the videos that I am making about my story of motherhood. And I'm going to start with Timothy and the trauma of dealing with things that are unexpected in your life. I was not planning on having Timothy. He came into me after my husband had a vasectomy. He had what is referred to as a natural reversal. It happened over 2 years after the procedure, so we really weren't expecting this. So when I found out I was pregnant with Timothy, I was really upset. I was on a career track with my book, The Way of the Toddler. I had a radio show. I was going around to mothers groups and doing a lot of speaking. And I was certainly not in the mood for a fourth child. And then I found out I was having another boy, and that also was a lot to deal with in that I have 3 boys, and then this was going to be the fourth son. So I was really angry, and I had to go through a lot of the stages of grief that you hear about, and I just really had to admit how I was feeling. So in terms of dealing with unexpected events in your life, I would say the first thing to do is just really be honest about what you're feeling, and I certainly had to do that with Timothy. And then I just started talking to him in my belly. I started to have incredible dialogues with him about how I was feeling, the things that I was going through, what I was asking of him. I really wanted him to come early. This was an opportunity for me to admit that pregnancy was not something I really enjoyed. And I allowed myself to admit that, not only to myself, but to others. So that in itself was very liberating. And I had a lot of conversations with Timothy where I just asked him over and over again, please come early so that we can get on with our relationship together. And so by the time he finally came, I felt like I did know him because I had spent so many hours of inner dialogue with him during the months of my pregnancy. And I didn't even know that I was pregnant until 4.5 months in, when I started to feel the movement of him inside me, and then could no longer create excuses for why there were changes happening in my body. So it was halfway through before I started this dialogue, but once I did, I was talking to him almost 24/7, really getting to know him as a soul and a spirit, and coming to peace with what was to be. And that was that we were going to be a family of 6, and that the children were all going to be male, and I was going to have peace around that. So helping me to do that was our time together when he was in the womb, and all of the dialogues that we had. And when I birthed him, I was I was really angry. And I allowed myself to be angry during the birthing process, and to use the energy of my anger to release him out into the world, to push him out into the world, and bring him into my arms. And it was really okay for me to do that. And I gave myself permission to feel everything I was feeling, and to process every feeling, so that when he was finally here, I had done so much of that work around peace and inner peace, and was truly able to hold him as a divine child in flesh, and just be so joyous over it after all of the other emotions that I'd been through. And I really did feel like I knew him because of all the time we had spent together in dialogue while he was still inside the womb. So for dealing with unexpected events, my advice is to be honest about how you're feeling and to allow yourself to feel those things in a safe way, and then to just do as much dialoguing as you need to do with that thing that is the quote unquote unexpected thing, to really get to know it. And through that process of dialogue, there can be discovered a light at the end of the tunnel. And of course, Timothy is 2.5 now, and he is so a part of this family. We can't imagine not having him. So I'm so grateful for all that I went through in finding out that I was pregnant in such an unexpected way, and then dialoguing with him so much before he was here. And next week, I'm going to talk about the process that I went through after Timothy was born to again try and create the situation in our family where I would not have any more children. And that in itself was a journey. So that's next week. Bye. Thanks for listening.